We're going live now. Hello everyone, welcome to the roadmap. You probably just heard me telling Matt just then we're going live right now. Hi Matt, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm good. So the chat might have also noticed that the title is actually wrong on YouTube. I made a bit of a mistake there and I can't change it now we're live, so I will change it afterwards, but this is not another pop quiz. This is the roadmap stream.
If it is a pop quiz, I'm completely unprepared.
Right. Matt, we have the same t-shirt on.
I know. That's because we're in control.
Yes, we absolutely.
Either that, or we just wish we were in control.
So, we haven't had you on the roadmap for a while. I think the last time I had you on, you had an absolute grilling.
It was fun.
It was it was fun.
The tears have almost stopped.
Well, hopefully this one won't be quite like that, and we can go over. Well, it's been quite a big roadmap because we've changed it. We've added some more dev information. We've given some nice stuff about the Spirit of Steam. So hopefully you'll be able to give us a little bit more insight on that.
Jake Short had a great idea. We should do a pub quiz to test people on what they've read in the roadmap.
That we should do that actually. I really like that idea. Yeah.
No, my pink t-shirt, Chris, is saved for Thursday.
Okay. It's saved for Thursday.
Thursday's the preview stream for a new route.
Is it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So let's talk roadmap.
Yes.
Obviously, this time it's changed. So we are going from fortnightly to a monthly roadmap. You've given us the okay on this as well. It was kind of a group decision, wasn't it, to change it to monthly?
I think it makes sense. I think the plan overall to expand it to do more things is really cool, actually. I think because it should be really interesting.
Yeah. I think we were also getting into a bit of a situation as well where every fortnight the community were hoping to see something new on there. And unfortunately, that's not something we can keep delivering every 2 weeks. Whereas hopefully every month we'll be able to sort of update the players with something different. Now, we've gone into a lot of detail on Spirit of Steam. I believe that's the first thing we actually talk about, and we've got a really nice video of the progress that's been made with the wheel, the motion blur.
Yeah, that was something we really wanted to improve. We kind of coming into Steam, I think we're probably going to have to be, really focusing on that to do this properly. And then when we saw the first Steam engine with wheels spinning, we're like, yeah, we're going to need to fix that.
Yeah, because it wasn't very attractive the way it used to look at all.
No, it wasn't, and it's actually been quite a bit of work for the engineering team and tech artists to come up with it. Because, as I said in the post there, the one of the problems is that a lot of the techniques for radial motion blur, which is what you need for a wheel, are based around a solid wheel, which is good for cars and good for most of the wheels on a train. No use whatsoever for a mostly open spoked giant steam engine wheel, and so they really didn't look very good. So they worked on a hybrid technique based on radial motion blur that does look a lot better.
Yeah. Now, I think we mentioned it briefly in the article that this is something we're hoping to implement for our other trains, because obviously at the moment the motion blur still isn't great on even the more modern locos. Now we've got this technology and we know how it works. Is this something we're going to be able to add to our existing routes?
Well, first thing we need to do is to prove that we can add it to new trains going forwards.
Yeah. And
get into the and work out what the downsides of it are.
Yeah.
Are we going to be using more resources with this? Because it is a more intensive way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
So we do need to, but not much.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that it should be okay. But what we're going to do is put it on some trains going forward, and if it's all good, then it'll be something that we can potentially look at as a backport on older stock. But I'm not going to make any promises along those lines.
Yeah.
But we do want to start using it on stock going forwards, at least.
I know that when you say more intensive, my initial thought is, oh no, not more crashing.
No, more. Well, it might be a little more memory. It might be a little bit more frame rate intensive. I don't know exactly how what the resource is. It's. I think what I'm being told is it's trivially minor,
Yeah.
which means we'd probably be fine for anything we want to use it for. But all I'm saying here is there might be a reason why we end up not being able to use this wherever we want to use it. So we're going to try it with the view that this should be the way we do things going forward, and we'll let everybody know if that turns out to not be viable. But
Yeah.
everyone's reasonably confident it'll be fine.
Yeah, and obviously the video does say work in progress, and it is very much just that, isn't it? It's work in progress.
Yeah, and it was also it's a relatively old video now, actually. So the locomotive you're seeing there, and particularly I've seen a couple of comments on Facebook about the connecting rods being a little bit wacky. And I mean, honestly, they weren't a priority for that engineer. So they just, in whatever state the train was at that point. So they've been so ignore that. It's about the wheel blur, that video, and it demonstrates that beautifully.
Now, as we're on the topic of videos, we did mention that we're going to be showing a bit more footage tonight, and Crazy Killer in the chat has actually asked, the roadmap said more footage, or was it that it, or will there be more tonight? So we do actually have a video for you in a bit. We also have some nice images to show you as well, but it's not of motion blur. That's just of some more progress that the dev team have been getting on with Steam. So what else have they been focusing on before we show them all the lovely things? How else are we getting on with Steam? Because we've obviously highlighted the motion blur there, but where are we at with Spirit of Steam at the moment?
We're doing really well, actually. The focus now is, we've got drivable steam trains in the game now. We can drive the train, but it's going through and refining the physics settings, upgrading the various components, looking at getting audio in, because we've now got a full set of audio recordings that we've taken from the locomotives. We've got wagon recordings, coach recordings, all new recordings for everything that we've got. So it's kind of like getting some of that stuff brought in, but getting the tech in for the chuffs, making sure that's linked into Simulgraph, so that Simulgraph is telling it when to chuff, so that we get that all working correctly, and then linking the particle effects for the smoke in, because we need to obviously to look right, linking that in with the Simulgraph side of things. So it's kind of like getting all of these things now and starting to put them together, and then look at what we've got. So one of the video, I've got one video tonight, and that's of the particles. And again, what you're looking at here is heavily in development, but it's kind of like a first sight of the particles now linked into Simulgraph, and working and looking pretty decent, actually. I'm really pleased with how they're coming on, but there is room to improve. We'll show that video shortly, and you can see that in action.
Absolutely. We're also going to be showing off some of the carriages.
Yeah, so in the previous update that we did, I didn't show the carriages.
Yes.
Because I wasn't 100% convinced of what state they were in, whether they were suitable to be shown or placeholders. So the carriages are now suitable to be shown, so I've got some screenshots of those. They're Mark 1s, but there are some subtle differences, and I'll talk through those subtle and important differences. Sure. Compared to what you've seen previously from the West Somerset Mark 1s. So there's those coaches. And then another thing that that I talked about in the other stream was a technique we were using to build the huge variety of signal boxes. So I think there's like 70 or something unique signal boxes on this route, and it's not necessarily practical or even a good idea to custom model 70 signal boxes when you've still got the rest of the route to build. And so the team came up with a way similar to how they build signals by effectively Lego block components, which they then are snapped together. And so they now build signal boxes like that. So I've got some screenshots of a variety of different signal boxes, and they're all made out of basically the same component parts. It's very cool.
I'll tell you what then, should we show off the images of the carriages and the signal boxes now?
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll show the video a little bit later. And you can
That sounds
talk
good to
you
me.
can talk through the images as they show up. So there's the first one.
The Mark 1 coach. This is the BSK, I think. So I can't remember actually. That's BSK. It's the maroon one. So there's two liveries of Mark 1 coaches: the maroon and the blood and custard. Here you can see the maroon livery here. But the eagle-eyed among you hopefully will have spotted the rims around the windows. The seals are the old style before they put the waterproofing in, because these ones leaked. So these are the original ones. It's also got the older style of bogies compared to the newer style that are on the, I can't remember the name of it. Someone on the chat will remember the name of the bogies on these ones. So this is the original style of Mark 1 bogies. The vent layout is based on the original style as well. So this is an original Mark 1 as opposed to the newer style of Mark 1 that you saw in West Somerset.
So should we go on to the next one?
Mm-hmm.
I really hope I've ordered these in the correct order. We might be about to show the interior. Oh no, we're not. Signal box.
Signal box. There you go. So this is actually from the route. First glimpse of the route. I think this might be Weaver Junction. I can't really tell from here. It might be, but yeah, this is this is one of the signal boxes, and that whole signal box is made up of a number of different component parts. A lot of the signal boxes on this line do look very similar, and that's why you're able to use this sort of kit build approach to make them. But that is not a single model. That is a bunch of components like the end pieces, the windows, and so forth, which have then been assembled together to come up with an efficient model at the end of the day. Which is the same way that the signal next to it is constructed. So the ladder, the post, each of these signal flags, all the signal board, rule board, they're all separate things which are then added and positioned to create the final signal. So we only have to have one red signal, one distance signal, three or four different types of step ladder and so forth, and they can just build them together. It's really cool. So what you see, so if you remember what this signal box looks like, and as we go on you can see what some of the others look like.
Yeah, we'll go on to the next one now.
So this is another signal box built with the same kit. So this is Actin Bridge signal box, as you can tell, with some ground signals there. So as you can see, I mean, this is a different signal box, and traditionally this would be a different model, but actually this was something that there's actually the infrastructure team that in charge of doing signals. They built all these signal boxes because again the art team made them all the component assets and they were able to assemble it themselves. So it means we can keep the variety there and keep it unique. Let's go on to the next one.
Yep.
So this is a more extreme example, and there are issues with it. It's not finished. As you can see, there's a ladder in the back there which is flying.
Yeah, we should actually highlight that these, although they're not watermarked with work in progress, these are very much still a work in progress.
Oh yeah, very much still work in progress. But as you can see, you've got a very, very different type of signal box here, and again, it's made with the component parts. And there are 70 or 80 of these different signal boxes, varying in size from very tiny to up on stilts to all over. Because basically the challenge was that signal boxes needed to go where they needed to go. They needed to be placed because it's not like in modern times where you've got electronics and you can just put some wires in a cable. These were all physically connected with pulleys and bars and levers and so forth. So you need to have enough room for the all of the mechanics, the mechanical interworkings, all the lever frames, and they need to be next to the junction that they manage essentially, or as close as possible to it. So. Which means that sometimes the signal box might need to be suspended way up because there's not enough room in the track. So you'll find there's a small frame essentially it's mounted on to get it up over the loading gauge, so that there's then room for the signal box to be. So there's a lot of different things like that you'll see around there. But it means that variety of the different types of signal box is prepared. Train track trav, interlocking towers is the equivalent. Yeah.
So we'll go on to the next one, which I believe is back to carriages. And that's the inside.
Yeah, I sneaked this shot. I wasn't even intending to take this shot, but I happened to fly inside the carriage, and I'm like, oh, that looks nice. So this is the inside of one of the first class coaches, as you can see, looking rather splendid.
Yes, it does. And then we'll just go on to the next one. And
so this is another type of this, the other end of the train. You can see the tender sneaking in the shot there. So this is the other type of Mark 1. So there's two types of Mark 1, and each of those in two different liveries. Again, the older frames, older vent siles, older bogies, which is probably the more significant. The bogies in the underframe probably the more significant of the changes there.
Nice. And then I believe this is the last one.
And then this, I wasn't able to take a shots that I wanted to, but of this one, the blood and custard. But here it is. I got one of the other team to take the shot for me of this one. This is the other livery. It's just so that I wanted to make sure that we'd shown. You've seen now kind of everything all the rolling stock in the pack between the previous stream and this stream. These are the coaches. So it's identical coaches, just painted in the other livery.
Yeah. All right. Well, hope everybody enjoyed them. We will show you the video in a bit. But I think we should continue to talk about other elements that are on the roadmap first, and then we can show off the nice little video. So we've covered a fair bit on Spirit of Steam so far, and this is one of the really nice things that we're hoping to continue delivering with the roadmap format changing, which is a more in-depth, a more behind-the-scenes type look of how a development is coming along and how the team are doing. And it's a really good opportunity for us to hassle the team and go, what can you tell us about this? The community would love to hear about, let's say, Spirit of Steam, for example, and then they can just give us a little bit of information about it. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity for us to share some of the inner workings of what's going on with the team, and like in today's update, sharing some of the work that's been going on with the track.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's been a particular passion project of one of the infrastructure team in particular, who just, and you get something that just becomes an itch that you want to scratch.
Yeah.
And it becomes important to you. And so Ben spent quite a lot of time just polishing and improving the track there, just to get the rust looking right, and to get the unused track with snow on it, and just looks really amazing what he's been able to do there.
Yeah. And is it Chief Longshin said, so much better sharing stuff in advance, and hopefully enables more collaboration between community and DTG. I'm glad you like it, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're just trying to give you a bit more information, a bit earlier on, and let you guys get a bit excited about stuff. So on the topic of routes that haven't been released, let's go to Harlem. And we shared some great pictures today of the tracks and the work that has been done on the tracks. Can you talk to us a bit about that? Obviously, we've touched on it very briefly in the article, but what's been going on there?
So again, this is where Ben has been spending some time looking at the just the way that, if you look at the images on the article, in the first image you can see the frog, which is the sort of in the middle of the junction, right in the middle there. If you look on the end of it, you can see there's a sudden hard line where it changes from being shiny track to rusty track. And it's just one of those things that it means nothing. It doesn't change anything with the way the game works. And in earlier versions of the game, it wasn't even rusty at that point; they were all shiny. But the train doesn't run over that bit of track, so it's kind of like they needed to be rusty. So the first step was to get that bit rusty, and then what Ben's been able to do this time is actually improve the material for it, so it actually smoothly transitions from shiny to rusty.
Yeah.
And then by the same token, making it to where a track that's rusty, which isn't being driven over or isn't getting significantly driven over, can get snow on it.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than none of the track ever having snow on it. And similarly, where you've got disused railways, rusty sidings, excuse me, rusty sidings along the side of the track, you kind of want to see that sort of getting snowy in the winter as well. So it's spending time on those things and just and pouring in personal passion into just getting that stuff looking as good as he can get it. So, that's just one of the examples I wanted to call out. Whereas, Ben was particularly proud of what he'd done, and I was really pleased. So, want to shout out the team's successes.
Yes.
Sorry, my Alphys Isaac, my throat is just doing a thing. Don't worry about it. I'm fine.
I mean, I don't think it's the first time you've been on here and you haven't sounded very well.
No, I'm not. It's just literally my throat has decided to do a thing in the last 10 minutes, and it'll be fine. I'm feeling great.
So, again, it's really nice having sort of that look at what the team's been doing. And it's nice, big shout out to Ben and the hard work he's been doing on Harlem.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
I have seen a lot of people asking if we have a release date for this yet. No, we don't have one just yet. Keep an eye on the socials and our news channels for the release date for Harlem. And then we go into the Creators Club beta. Now, have you been keeping track of the Creators Club beta since it launched?
Yes, very much so. I've been using it myself on my Xbox Series S at home. And on the PC, I had played quite a few different liveries and scenarios, actually, that are on there, and having a really good time with it. And also, learning what areas it can be improved, particularly on console. So it's it's really great. Amazing content that's being uploaded.
Absolutely phenomenal. The content that the community create is incredible. I'm constantly shocked by just how amazing some of these liveries are.
Yeah.
So for anybody that perhaps hasn't read the article yet, we've given some figures. Matt, you're probably one of the people that hasn't read the article, actually.
I read the article.
You dirty little liar. So apparently, since the launch of Creators Club, there have been over 285,000 subscriptions. There have been a total of 3,665 mods uploaded. 2,884 of them were liveries, and 781 of them are scenarios. I think the scenarios, come on guys, what's going on with the scenarios? We need more scenarios.
There are some cracking scenarios up there, though, it has to be said.
Yeah. And one individual has managed to sub to 796 mods.
I respect that. I respect that so much.
Which is just so many. Now, it is worth saying that obviously this is still a beta, and there are some people that have been experiencing some technical difficulties. That is being investigated by the team, so we know that there are some people that are struggling to subscribe. They're having the loading screen, the twirly loading screen of doom, and so that is definitely being looked into. We found that if you're in the game and there's something you want to sub to and you can't while you're in the game, say you're on your console or you're on your PC, if there's something you want to sub to, you can do it directly on the website. So if you go to the Creators Club website and you find the same mod that you wanted to subscribe to, as long as you're logged into your Dovetail Live account, that should help. There are some people that are having issues getting their Dovetail Live accounts to work as well. So we recognise that. If you are one of those people having those problems, please do get in touch with customer support, and they'll do their best to help you out there. But yes, overall, I would say that the reaction from the community has just been wonderful. And we are definitely going to be making changes based off of your feedback. But it's really, really nice to see you all creating such lovely stuff. I think one of the things I've seen mentioned a lot is that they'd like more, you know, on the main screen, you scroll more options on the main screen to filter things.
Yeah, I mean, searching and filtering, there's a number of things that we're discussing about, and I'd already got in our list of things that we wanted to do post-release, so there's a number of things that we're looking at, what we can do and when, and trying to get stuff out. Various improvements to search that we can do just as a back-end upgrade that won't necessarily require any kind of update to the game, so that it incorporates more things in the search. At the moment, search only looks, I think, for title and description.
Yes.
So incorporating tags and route names and loco names and all sorts of things
Absolutely.
in there are all things that, you know, that any change like that can all just be done transparently on the server side without any need to update the client. So there's a bunch of stuff for making it easier to discover content, I know one of the things that that I found when I was using it on my Xbox as well was trying to work out what train what train is this livery for, which if it's the ACS 64, you know which train it is, but if it's the GP38, okay, there's several of those. If it's the BR 185.2, okay, there's several of those. So one of the things we're looking at doing is adding the required content panel, which currently only shows if you're missing content, and we're going to make it always display, so that at least you know what the required content is for that, so that you know you can see, oh, that's the 185.2 from main specipun, so that I'll at least give you a better way. It's something we can do quickly to try and improve that. So we're trying to work out what we can do quickly to try and improve some things, and then what are some of the bigger, more longer term things we can do to add and enhance. But that's what part of why this is a beta. It's kind of, we wanted to get it out, see what people did, and oh boy did they do. But that also then gives us a really great database that we can start right, how do we make finding things in this big database easier? Because actually trying to make a really good search facility in an optimal way with a bunch of test data is really difficult. So this gives us actually a really good database now that we can use real data to create and optimize that search facility.
I saw someone ask as well, if it's a beta, why have we taken it off the roadmap?
Well, it's out now, so it's the feature is out, but it is now. It is, the roadmap isn't saying all of the things that are being worked on, and you know, it, like Dovetail Live, which is evolving over time, is not on the roadmap. So it doesn't mean we're going to stop working on the Creators Club. Far from it. The team are still busily reviewing feedback and looking at new stuff. But as if there becomes like a big new thing that we want to do to Creators Club, that probably would be something that then returned onto the roadmap and say, you know, okay, this is a thing we're going to put out. But as at this point in time, the feature is out, and now we're going to be maintaining and updating and improving as we go.
It's also worth saying as well, obviously we've mentioned that the community have created some absolutely fabulous liveries. There's been a very positive consequence of that, which is that Avanti are now prepared to allow their brand on Creators Club, which is fantastic.
How amazing is that?
Yeah, and that is directly because of the quality of liveries you've been making. So I think everyone who's been making, give yourselves a pat on the back. You've been doing such a good job that you've had a positive impact in a brand wanting to take part in it. So this is going to help us, because obviously we want to keep having more brands added. We're going to continue to have those conversations, and if you keep creating the wonderful stuff you are, that's only going to strengthen our ability to do that. So really, it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tremendous to sort of see that already happening.
Yes.
And yeah, use the service well, and keep uploading those just amazing things, liveries, and the work that's been uploaded, and we'll show everybody just how great this place is and what a great community this is as well.
Exactly, because it's if we went to a brand, we're like, look, we'd love you to have you part of our creators club, and we could go look at these amazing things they've made with other brands. And on the topic of brands as well, we're also going to be adding the decals in the livery designer with our approved brands, and they're going to be coming pretty soon, actually, within the next few weeks, hopefully.
Yes, that'll be good. Yeah, it's that's going to be great to see.
Yeah.
Get some actual brand logos in there. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So, no, I've definitely been enjoying Creators Club. So please, keep it up with the liveries. It's a lot of fun, and it's really nice seeing you all share your liveries with each other, recommend liveries, recommend scenarios. It's very nice seeing the community interact with each other that way.
Yes. Yeah, and if you haven't, explored, the content that's on there, or you've only looked at liveries, go and look at some of the scenarios. There's some really interesting scenarios up there as well, that do all kinds of interesting things. So yeah, do. There's a world of new experiences to explore on the Creators Club. Yeah.
And I've just seen someone asking, when I say a few weeks, do I have any? Do I have a firmer deadline on that? No, I do not. So
somewhere between now and the future.
Yeah, I'd love to give you something more concrete, but as soon as I give a hard deadline, then it'll probably end up changing. So
big shout out to Tom Fresco, who's in the chat.
Oh yes,
huge uploader on Creators Club, and amazing content. I'm sure there are many of you others out there as well, but I've run several of Tom's creations, and never a loser, never a bad one in there.
So, next on the roadmap is Preservation Crew. Now, we don't actually have Adam on to talk Preservation Crew this time. We will probably have him on in future roadmaps. Obviously, as we're changing it to monthly, it's more likely that you and Adam are going to be on these together, just because that way we can cover a bit of everything. But let's talk about the Preservation Crew, because there has been movement again in terms of the order everything is coming up, but we still haven't seen anything released.
No, the things are progressing, and they are a step closer now. So it's one of those things that I think we're not too far off now, actually seeing the first things come out. I know I did originally say we were hoping that Peninsula Corridor would be the first one.
I think that's what we all expected as well, because that's how it was looking when we were going through the first lot of testing. It looked like Peninsula Corridor was going to be the first one out.
It did, and it was the first one that went into one of the first ones that went into QA, but it came back with a bunch of issues. So they need to be looked at. Adam's team are looking at them, and they'll put them back. It doesn't change our goal of getting everything up before the summer, but it just the order will change. I mean, when we originally talked about this, I did say that the order will always be subject to change. We're not going to hold things up so that we can preserve the order. If add-on 5 is ready before add-on 1, then add-on 5 goes out.
Can we just talk a little bit about how you mentioned it's happening before summer? Because I think this is something that's perhaps caused a bit of confusion in the roadmap. It makes it sound like we're not releasing them until summer, or at least a large portion of them aren't going to be ready until the summer, which isn't the case really, is it?
No, it's just a period of time. What we wanted to do is to give everybody some idea of by the summer, you should have it all.
Yes.
It'll be between now and then. And what we want to try and do is actually have a reasonably regular pace between now and then, rather than just a giant blob of release in one go, because it's not necessarily something we can support, a big giant release like that anyway. So we kind of want to get some stuff. So we've got some add-ons, I think, that are just about ready to go now, and get those out, and then work on the next batch, get those out, and so on and so forth. So it's you should start seeing the fruit of this very, very shortly now, and once it starts, it should just continue.
Yes. Now, I've seen some people asking, as obviously Peninsula Corridor has gone further down, does that mean there's a delay? something else has filled in that slot, hasn't it, instead?
Yeah,
so it's not a case
down,
of...
things have gone up.
Yeah. It's not a case of everything's been pushed down. It's a case of if something gets pushed down, something else is going to get put in its place.
Yeah, I mean, in our original list, I think item number 10 on the list suddenly passed its QA before all the other ones did. So it's kind of like, as I said, we will not hold things up. If something's ready to go, then we will try and get it out as soon as possible.
Now, I'm just going to talk briefly about what's currently top of the list, which is obviously the London Bakerloo line and Kolnachen. Some people have asked what's going to be included in those, because I think they kind of just appeared on the list. They hadn't been on there previously, particularly the London Bakerloo line. So what we're going to have added in that first update is going to be the rush hour passengers, improved NPCs at Harlem and Wilston, and improved rail driver mapping. That's what's going to be included in the Bakerloo line updates. Kolnachen is going to have some minor timetable improvements, and emphasis on the word minor, added platform departure boards, and added contact signaler functionality. Oh my gosh, I did a dreadful job of getting that out. Now, the Koln one had half of the update out already, which wasn't supposed to, so this is just the second half of that.
Yeah.
And the next one on the list would be Main Spessartbahn and East Coastway. So I can say that we're currently aiming to get these out for March. I'm not going to say when in March, but we are aiming for March for that first batch. So that's just to give everybody a really good indication of when we're going to start trying to get them out. And at that point, like Matt said, it is going to be a very regular thing. And it could be instances where you see not one batch, but 2 batches coming out a month. So we are really going to get on it.
Yes, a couple of people saying, but you've already got PIS on Kolnachen, and this is why there's a second update, because there are some issues with it. It went out before it was intended to go out, and so the second update is actually the intended release. So those issues should be resolved. Well, they are resolved.
It's one of those times where we could actually do with Adam, just to explain it briefly, but it's the technical side of the PIS which wasn't behaving as it should have, I believe. So, we do recognise, everybody's been so patient with this, and again, it probably does still sound like us saying, just keep waiting, but they really, really are coming. We have a schedule for it, it's happening,
Yeah, it should be good, as you say. Look out for it sometime this month.
Yeah. And then we touched briefly on the Luzon Cersei stuff. Have you seen what Rivet have been doing with some of their dev blogs?
No, I've not looked at their dev blogs, I must admit.
So we've included some videos to their dev blogs in the article, so if anybody's excited about Luzon Cersei, you can have a look at some of them. They're really interesting, and they're talking about how the 523 is being created.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then obviously the final section that we had on our article is the changes to the roadmap update, which we've touched on briefly. And yes, we just want to provide everybody with a bit more information. And I think we were definitely getting into we weren't giving anybody anything new. It was the same stuff every 2 weeks. So hopefully this will be able to provide everybody with something fresh.
Yeah, and making it monthly means we have the opportunity to put more substance in the article, and do a round through the development team of some of the stuff that's been going back on. Because we used to do dev blogs a long time ago, but the problem was that they were really time consuming to put together, and we have a community team now, which we didn't really have in the same way by any means back then. And by combining the update on the roadmap with putting some stuff in from the development team, gives us a good opportunity now to add to something that's already there, rather than trying to have to get enough to make a complete article, which sometimes just like, it's not going to stand up as an article, so let's not do an article. Now it just has to be a paragraph, and
Yep.
you're going to get an update. And here's a screenshot. Sometimes a picture paints 1,000 words. Well, here's another 1,000 words for your article.
Yes, well, that's something I'm definitely going to try and get more of, because I think there's a lot of value in the pictures, there's a lot of value in the videos, and there's a lot of value of showing the stuff while it's work in progress, and this seems like a really nice place to do it on the roadmap. We're not going to take away from the current format in terms of the list and the order things are supposed to be coming out. That you're still going to have that, and we're still going to have the streams alongside it. I saw some people asking if we might do a fortnightly stream, even if we don't do a fortnightly article. I think it's more likely that we're going to fill that Tuesday slot perhaps with something else. It's not going to just go empty.
Oh no.
It's we're not going to just leave it blank. So
I'll do an all-night stream or something every now and again. Wind everybody up.
Maybe we could do one of your tutorial videos with a lovely presentation.
Everyone want a 5-hour PowerPoint?
But no, in all seriousness, we'll probably try and fit it in with something else. It could be a good opportunity perhaps to get some of the dev team on and have a talk with them and see what they're getting up to.
And as Sonic Scott says there, one of the things we've already started looking into doing is Creators Club streams and running some stuff. I ran one on my own stream a while the other weekend actually, and there was really great content. It was so fun. I really like the idea of putting forward some really good stuff from Creators Club, using some interesting liveries and some of those scenarios, and putting them together. So there's lots of opportunity. Essentially, we'll try and fill it with something interesting and fun.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, knowing us, we'll probably end up trying to fill it with too much, and then the week will just be streams. Yeah. I saw Matt MC said, do you think you might do a development stream instead of, I've just lost it. No, to replace every other roadmap stream that will be having to move to monthly. So yeah, like we said, there's a lot of different options we could go through for the streaming side of things.
Yeah, and it may change. It may be, we've actually got enough that we could do a behind the scenes dev and someone who can talk about it, and right, that's what that will do in that slot. Sometimes there just won't be enough, and so there'll be other things that we can cover. Yeah. So suffice to say, we'll be here, and there is plenty we can talk about, or show, or just sit and chat and play the game.
Ashley Robinson said, any notes on what is in the East Coastway update? Yeah, I can actually have a look at that right now for you and read out what's supposed to be coming with the East Coastway one. So it'll be it's quite a big one. Updated sky, improved track rendering, added animated level crossings, added rush hour passengers, added access to Hampden Park footbridge, improved AWS TPWS functionality, improved default state of the Class 66 locomotive, improved braking physics of the Class 377. So that's quite an extensive one.
Nice.
Yeah. So there you go. And then I think everybody's been quite patient, waiting for the lovely, lovely video. Should we show them?
Just before we show the video, I just need to answer Baked Bean Kid. The way I make tea deserves a PowerPoint presentation in and of itself, at least 2 hours long. Just saying that, Baked Bean Kid. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it'll probably nothing to do with the making of the tea, but you'll desperately need a cup of tea by the time you finish watching it.
Right. You happy for me to show the people the video? Because I feel like we might have teased long enough.
Yeah, let's look at the video.
Now, before we start, just worth saying, this is very, very much a work in progress, isn't it, Matt?
Yes, there's it's definitely work in progress. This is straight off an engineer's computer, and he was recording this one to show it because so this is about particle effects, but yes, I want to share it because it's just like it's a nice milestone to start seeing Steam coming out finally.
And when was this video taken?
This morning.
This morning. Okay, so let's show the people. There is no sound beyond me and you talking.
There's no sound just beyond us. So there's a couple of things here. One of them is that, as you can see, you get the chuffs, which are the whites, which are now linked to this what's going on with Simigraph. And as it goes under the tunnel, it's now reacting physics-wise to what's going on with the world around it. So you don't find the smoke going up through through the bridges and through tunnels and things. So it's it's very cool. I really like where we've got it to. The particles have just had a new material on them to make them run better and smoother and better performance. But yes, it's just really nice seeing the particles reacting to the world around them as well.
Yes. So obviously the focus in this video is definitely the smoke.
Yeah. Yeah, the focus in this video is the smoke. Those that are eagle-eyed will see the con rods are working a lot better in this video. You can even see the reverser there moving in the beginning. When the video beginning, you see the reverse. You can see the controls moving. So this is a reasonably current state of where the train is, the locos are. But even in this video, the conrod animation isn't finished. It's not actually right. It's got a couple of issues with it. But this is we wanted to give you an update and just show the steam particle effects and where they've got to.
And the progress that's being made with it.
And the progress that's being made. So yeah, there's good progress. There's a lot happening, really pleased with it. So work continues, but here we are. Work continues, and we're all busy on it.
Yeah, I imagine that for some of the eagle-eyed viewers as well, they'd probably be able to spot a few things wrong with that at the moment, but that's because it's work in progress, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that there's all sorts of things that are wrong with that, and probably not even relevant to the video. But this is the challenge with seeing stuff before it's finished. You kind of get to see behind the curtains, and you see where everything is before it gets pulled out nice and clean. So I think it's good to see those things. So you can imagine that footbridges on the crew route have got the smoke deflector panels below them, so you can imagine the smoke reacting to those smoke deflector panels, and similarly through tunnels and things, or going under bridges. So it should look amazing actually. Waiting to see that, so that's good. Before we move on, someone, I think it might have been Hentis, was asking about the PS5 64 gig fix.
Yeah, go for it.
Still ongoing. It has had and continues to have a dedicated engineer working on it. There's not really much more that two engineers could do on it that one couldn't do, unfortunately. So he's working full time on that, and we're getting there. I explained the reason for why it's taking a bit longer in a previous stream. That remains true, but there's no less focus on it. It continues, I'm hoping that soon enough we'll be able to sort of confirm something definite in terms of towards a release date, but we're not there yet. But work continues, and we haven't dropped any focus on it or anything.
Yeah, it's because obviously tonight we've had a very sort of upbeat roadmap. We've talked about some really nice things to look forward to, and obviously these issues are still bugging some players. But this is also something else we will start to include in the new format of the roadmap, which is if there is something like, let's say, the 64 gigabyte limit, and you make some progress in the month between roadmaps, we will give a nice in-depth explanation about what's been going on there and how you've come to a fix, won't we? And even if you haven't come to a fix, we're going to try and give everybody perhaps a bit more information about what's been going on, what progress has been made.
Yeah, where we can give more, where there's something that we can talk about, because sometimes it's just engineer wrote lots of lines of code. Yeah. There's not a lot of interesting things we can say about that. But in this case, the engineer is going through fine tuning and unpicking various things, which are assuming that all of the content is available, and correcting that assumption and making it work via another layer so that it can handle it not being available, and load it as needed. So it's kind of at the moment just a question of just piecing your way through the code carefully, and just correcting all of those things as you go. It's going to be a little bit of a time-consuming job. I think it's well on the way through it now, actually, but it's a necessary one, and as I said, the end result is going to be basically transparent. The end result is the game should reload and play the same as it did before, except that it'll be transparently loading and unloading content on the consoles in the background, which means it shouldn't ever get anywhere near that 64 gig limit.
Yeah. And Paul Wilkinson has asked, is there any more news on the memory leaks? So I think we've also had, we recently spoke, didn't we, about the crashes that were going on, and you found some of the issues there. Have you had any more progress with that?
I'm just continuing to work on it. As I said, the reason I picked up a Series S myself was to try various things out in a retail environment as opposed to a dev environment, which seems to not always give the same issues in this respect. I've been able to get some repros and pass that stuff on with to the engineering team. We found a couple of services on London Commuter which are insta crash the minute you start them. In many cases, not always, but in many cases. So again, pass those on to the engineering team as well, and they're starting to look into those too. No results to talk about yet, but we're starting to get some real concrete avenues of investigation now, whereas previously it crashes a bit or it crashes too much, and that's nothing that they can actually look into. Everyone just gets worried and upset about it, whereas now we actually have a number of tickets in our system which are being literally looked into, which are, this is exactly the thing. Or these are exact causes. Now they may have similar root causes, they may have different root causes, but if we've got 5 or 10 ways of causing problems with the system, that gives them really concrete steps to try and evaluate it. So it's a good thing, and progress is going well on that. So when there's updates on progress in resolving them, then of course I'll let everybody know.
Nathan Loves Trains has just said London Commuter crashes when you have liveries downloaded. If that's the one from the Creators Club, that has already been passed on to the team and that is already being looked into, because you're not the only one to have explained that. And Toby has asked, do we have some news about the DB, is that BR420? Or is it DR?
No news from that at this point. That's the German BR420 train that Trains from Germany TSG is working on. So no, we haven't got any update on that one.
No, but I will be hassling him over the next month to see if we can get some information soon, and hopefully get some nice behind the scenes on that. We'd love to share some more with you guys.
Saying any news about Xbox not loading layers properly, aware of it, got a reasonable idea of what might be causing it, and that one is with the engineering team to look at. They're starting to build up a list of these things to look at, which is great, to be honest, from where we've been previously.
Can we also talk about the Xbox sound issues?
Mm-hmm.
What is the score with them? Where are we at? Because I think it's been a while since we spoke about it. The last we heard was you were going to look into it. Have we made any progress, or is it just being forgotten?
No, it's definitely not being forgotten. The audio engineer is looking into it. I don't have an update. I will try and get an update for the next stream, so that we can find out what's going on with that. But I don't say it is somebody's focus to be looking at the. This is the one of the attacks. One of the things that we're looking at for this is the problem with X audio, which is the audio interface that the Unreal Engine uses by default to talk to the Xbox audio system, and the way that audio is re-encoded for X audio can make loops no longer work properly. So you end up with it going because the loop is not working properly. And I've experienced that myself when I played it on Xbox on my S, and other people have sent me videos of some more. It's not just even sometimes a click. Sometimes it can be more substantial than just a click. So we've got some good repros of some examples of what that is, and the recommendation we've had for us, I've said this a number of times, there's nothing new here, is to look at switching to a different audio engine called OGG, and so essentially the audio engineer who's looking at this now is looking at what are the practical changes if we switch the audio engine? Does the game suddenly need 10% more memory because OGG files are less efficient than X audio? And if so, is there a way we can change that? Is that a problem even? So there's going through this process. You can't just switch the audio engine and boom, everything's great.
Yeah.
We'll need to do some testing, work out what the impact of that is, particularly given how memory is and has been for some time now an issue. It's memory is the cause of most of the crashes that you're seeing on the likes of London Commuter, and so switching to OGG suddenly means the game uses 10% more RAM. That's a bad thing. So we need to manage that and work out what we do. That doesn't mean we don't do it, but it means we need to work out how we do it. So we're in the process of going through that, testing and evaluating it and working out what our next steps are.
And obviously sound is it's a huge part of the game.
It is.
It's not as if it's something small. It's hugely immersion breaking if it's not behaving the way it should.
It is. It's the fact that audio problem exists on the Xbox is awful.
Yes.
And it got worse, I think, in 426. I don't know quite why it got worse in 426. So it's something that we're looking into. But it's really important. I mean, the audio it's just so important to the experience, and it's fine on every other platform. The source audio that everything is built from loops correctly, but when it converts it to the X audio format, like I said, it no longer loops correctly. So it's one of the that's why we're looking at changing it. So yeah, we fully get it. It's important.
Is this something that obviously we're going to want to get right as well before Steam? Because we want to get the amazing sound for Steam. But we don't want to have the same issues on Xbox there once Steam releases either.
I don't know. I don't know whether or not the changes would be ready in time for the Steam launch or not. I mean, this is the sort of thing that as soon as it works, it gets pushed out as fast as possible.
Yes.
It's important. This is not a hang it around fix. But I'm not going to put any kind of a time scale on it because we need to work out what the implications are, because changing the audio engine might mean we need to do something called recooking all the content, which would mean we'd need to re-upload, you'd need to re-download all the content, and that's fine for most platforms, but for PS4 that would be a nightmare because PS4 you have no way of updating content, so you'd all of a sudden have an awful lot to download. It would be quite odd. So we need to work out if we do need to go down this path of recooking the content. There's then a logistical question of how we then do that in a way that isn't going to suddenly make the game take up twice as much disk space on a PS4. Other platforms, like I said, won't have that problem because they can update no problem, but they can't on a PS4. So
well, I'm going to hold you to an Xbox audio update for the next roadmap.
Do it.
And we will give everybody some information about what is going on there for the next roadmap, I think. Excellent. Well, I'd say we've covered everything we needed to tonight, Matt. It's been quite a nice roadmap, I'd say. There's been a lot to look forward to. I hope that everybody does start to like the new information we're giving. Please let us know on the forums what you think, if you do like it. And yeah, you just... I can't really think of anything else I need to say.
So, Big Spunny Science from Will Spirit of Steam be tested on old gen consoles? Yes. Liam says, does X Audio cause the jackhammer? The jackhammer is the problem. We believe X Audio is the cause. We are investigating. That's where we're at with that. I think that was the only other questions that have come in since then.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right then. Well, look, you're probably going to be on the next roadmap with me, and Adam's probably going to be on it as well. And hopefully we'll have some really nice stuff to update everybody on then as well. So thanks for joining us tonight, and I hope everybody's enjoyed the roadmap. And what day is it tomorrow? Wednesday? Workshop Wednesday with Jamie tomorrow? I think so.
Possibly. I don't know. We should probably have come prepared for that.
We probably should have. There's probably a stream tomorrow. It's Wednesday. It's most likely Jamie. That's usually how it works. So
we should find a community manager and ask them.
Oh, hold on. Let me find the correct schedule. Wait a second. I can do it. Wait. We're going to find it. It's in the announcements.
Wednesday, the 9th of March, is
How did you
JV
find
running
it?
the Union Pacific F3.
Oh, look, I was right.
It was on the forums under announcements.
Yeah, I know. I put it there.
Yeah, that DTG Natster is always on the ball. Just go and ask her.
Pro. All right, well, on that incompetent note, I will speak to everyone soon. Bye.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks for watching.